Hello, and welcome to Emancipation Park Conservancy's Bridging the Gap Financial Literacy Program, sponsored by Veritex Community Bank. We are excited to have you join us today as we share great information about protection from predatory lending, presented by author and commercial banker, April Fort. My name is Patrina Johnson, Development Associate here at Emancipation Park Conservancy, and I will be your facilitator for today's webinar. Please know that this webinar is being recorded and is streaming live on Facebook. It will also be made available after the event has ended. After the workshop, please be sure to complete our program survey that will automatically pop up following the event. We will also put the link in the chat for your convenience. Since its inception in 2014, Emancipation Park Conservancy has served over 15,000 program and event participants and has reached over 200,000 individuals globally. The Conservancy was formed to create a renewed cultural, learning, and recreational gathering place in the city of Houston. Our mission is to enhance Emancipation Park by preserving its integrity and enriching its heritage as a local, state, national, and international landmark. Our strategic outreach focus is supported by 3 pillars: education, economic empowerment, and health and wellness. We would like to take a moment and thank our corporate sponsor, Veritex Community Bank, for sponsoring our financial management series. Today's webinar is the 4th of 5 financial empowerment sessions in this series. You can visit our YouTube channel at Emancipation Park Conservancy or our Facebook page to view playbacks of our webinar. We are so delighted to have Ms. Courtney Taylor, Vice President of Community Development, with us here today. Please help me welcome our sponsor as she shares information about Veritex Community Bank. Ms. Taylor?
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you all. Like Patrina said, I'm Courtney Taylor, Vice President of Community Development for Veritex Community Bank. Veritex is a local community bank here in Texas. We are a proud Texas bank, headquartered out of Dallas, but also have some locations here in the Houston area, about 12 to 13 locations here. And I oversee our community development here. And so what that includes is our financial literacy programming, things around affordable housing, economic development, and community revitalization. And we are so happy to partner with Emancipation Park Conservancy for our Bridging the Gap series. As Patrina said earlier, this is our 4th installment out of 5 workshops that we have been doing over the past couple of months. And so we've been ranging from budgeting and home ownership. And tonight we'll be talking, of course, about predatory lending. And it's so important just to be well informed around predatory lending and the different practices that go within that, but also just knowing your money and knowing what's fair and what's not fair. And so I'm so excited that we have an opportunity to share this information with you all and to continue this series of information. So I encourage you, if you have missed any of the previous sessions, to go back on the YouTube page or the Facebook pages where the videos are up, because it's so much great information, whether we're talking about budgeting, whether we're talking about, home ownership and the first time home buyer programs that are out there. There's so much great information. And yes, we were planning to do a lot of this stuff in person, but COVID, of course, changed our plans, just like I'm sure it's changed a whole bunch of other people's plans throughout this year. And so I think coming on here online virtually and making this happen has also, it's been a pivot, but it's been a good pivot, because now I believe more folks will have access to this great information. So pleased and so just happy that we're able to partner with such a great organization like Emancipation Park Conservancy and get this information out to everyone that needs it. So I'm excited about tonight's session and thankful for all of the partners on the line tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Courtney and Veritex Bank, Veritex Community Bank, for your investment in our Bridging the Gap financial literacy program. Next, I would like to introduce our strategic partner, Mr. Cecil Garrick II of the National Association of Black Accountants. Please help me welcome our partner as he shares information about NABA. Mr. Garrick.
Thank you, Katrina. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of NABA Houston, we'd like to welcome all of you and thank you for giving us your time. A little background about NABA. NABA was founded in 1969. The idea of it was for accounting professionals and finance professionals to come together and be able to leverage their experiences, be able to have a place where they feel seen, and be sure that the impact that they have in their individual life also flows to the collective. The motto for NABA is a reminder of each of us that our part in the puzzle is integral to the entire piece. And that motto would be lifting as we climb. And in so much that we believe in that, we also have a few events that we do annually, and even some of those events that we do more so ad hoc. Our membership consists of professional members as well as student members. And the way that we make sure that we're always benefiting our members as well as having strategic partnerships, we make sure that we have events such as regional conferences for the students, annual conferences for both students and professionals. We also make sure that we are having worthwhile events with partners such as EPC and Veritex Bank. We also have our annual scholarship and award gala, whereby we give out scholarships to students who apply and meet the criteria of those different scholarships. And we've even reached out to those in high school with the Accounting Career and Awareness Program that we host during the summer. As we go through tonight's events and even the events we've had previously and the one that is coming later down the road, which I'm sure you'll hear about before this event ends, we are extremely focused on the fact of each individual person having information to be able to make decisions for themselves, and not only any decision, but great decisions. And the place that we see that and we feel that we can have the most impact is, of course, the financial decisions. As we get through tonight's event, there will be many topics that we touch on and topics that we'd like to touch on in the future. So at any point, please feel free to ask questions, and in the housekeeping, I'm sure there'll be instructions on that. And if you have any questions that go outside of the event and you want to reach us directly, I can provide the information. You can get with Katrina and she can give you my information to contact me directly, and I'll be sure to address your questions. And if I can't answer them, I'll be sure to get them to someone who can. Again, I'd like to thank you for giving us your time, and we look forward to many more events in the future and being able to continue to help the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecil. And thank you, NABA, for your partnership in our Bridging the Gap financial literacy program. In this evening's workshop, Ms. April Fort will be sharing great information about protecting yourself and your family from deceptive predatory lending practices and how to get back on the right path to successful money management. Without further ado, I present to you April.
Good afternoon, NABA. And I appreciate you guys for this opportunity today to share with you guys about predatory lending. My name is April Ford Kelly. I am a member of NABA here in Birmingham, and I can't see there we go. And I'm a member here of NABA here in Birmingham. I'm the vice president of the NABA Birmingham chapter here. So I am very excited to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you guys for having me. Tonight we're going to talk about predatory lending. And first thing I want you guys probably want to know, since I'm not from Texas and with the whole group, I'm from Texas, but I'm not in Texas with the group. You guys are probably wondering, who am I? So I want to let you guys know I am a graduate of Southern Methodist University. I have a degree in finance, accounting, and a minor in business law, contracts negotiations. I entered the financial world as a mortgage loan officer and held positions as an underwriter, processor, commercial underwriter, and a commercial banker. I'm the former AVP of Bancorp South, and I'm a current VP of commercial lending with Regions Bank. I'm an author of the book 52 Weeks to Fall in Love with Your Money, a guide to help you on your financial journey to discover your financial soulmate. I own a bread delivery service. I actually sold it now, called Oh So Tasty, and I started a long time ago when my brother kind of got into some trouble and we needed to start that. So I've also appeared on several TV shows and things like that. So I am here to speak with y'all tonight, which is the most important thing. What is predatory lending? That is something that people always ask, because one thing about predatory lending, you have to know what the parameters are. I always call it knowing the rules of the game before you learn to play the game. And here are some of the rules. So by definition, predatory lending is any lending practice that imposes unfair, abusive loan terms on a borrower. Is also any practice that conceives a borrower to accept unfair terms through deceptive, coerced, exploitative, and unscrupulous actions for a loan that a borrower doesn't need or he can't really simply afford. And so that's what we call predatory lending. And at the bank, we have a lot of questions regarding this, and we want to talk to you guys tonight about who actually predatory lenders are. One way that we know that are predatory lenders are payday loans. Payday loans offer loans that are also called payday advances. These are salary loans or payroll loans, small dollar loans, short-term loans, and cash advances all fall into this bucket of payday lenders. And payday loans. Payday loans are small, short-term, unsecured loans, regardless of whether repayment is I'm sorry, I messed up there. And regardless of whether it's linked to a payment or whether it's linked to your payday, most of the time it's linked every other week, and they charge really large interest rates on those loans. Pawnbrokers. Pawnbrokers are another version of of predatory lending. Pawnbrokers are individuals or businesses that are offered secure loans to people with personal properties offered as collateral. The word of pawn is likely derived from the 15th century French word pan, meaning pledge or security, and the items are pawned to the broker are called pledges. Pawns are collateral. With these, a person is loaned money. They have so much time to go out and repay the money before their items are sold, but they pay it back at a premium. Loan sharks. Even though a lot of us like the TV show Shark Tank, loan sharks are a little bit different. Loan sharks are individuals or groups who offer extremely high interest rates. The terms usually refer to illegal activity, but might also refer to predatory lending activity like payday loans or title loans. Title loans are another form of payday loans where you put your car up. Loan sharks sometimes enforce repayment by blackmail or threats or violence. We've all seen the movies, right? I think we've all seen the movie where they talk about breaking the legs. That's what we call the blackmail and threats of violence. I never want to do anything where somebody wants to break my legs. Predatory lending can also take the form of car loans, subprime loans, home equity loans, tax refund anticipation loans, and any other type of consumer debt. You have to be very careful when you're looking at the predatory lending and looking at these loans, and I'm going to explain to you why. Prepaid debit cards are also a form of predatory lending. We typically don't consider them as predatory lending, but some of these cards have been criticized because they have really, really high fees. Predatory lending preys on the desperate situations and bad timing. And in the accounting world, we talk about having your rainy day fund and emergency fund. And if you don't have this saved, sometimes it can lead you to predatory lending. All right, average versus predatory. Let's talk about the difference in the interest rates. An average interest rate on a credit card APR is 15 to 18.99%. And if you're like me, when you see this, you're like, whoa, 15 to 18.99%? Yes, that is the average credit card APR these days. That's why it's very important, guys, that we make sure we pay those credit cards off monthly and pay the balances down and try not to carry a balance. In a car and a personal loan, the average interest rate there would be 5 to 9%, depending on your credit. When the loans become predatory lending is when the loans go from, you have a credit card whose interest rate is 19 to 29%. We mostly see these in what I like to call the bad boys of credit, and those are considered store cards who usually have these higher interest rates. Car and personal loans, anything 18% or up is considered predatory. And let me just say, let's be realistic. Sometimes we do get in credit situations, and sometimes we are forced to take a higher interest rate loan. The thing with that, make sure you're paying down your principal, because the more of the principal you pay down, the less interest you'll pay on the loan. So we want to make sure we keep that in the back of our heads. And also we want to make sure that we're working toward getting that better credit situation. We want to make sure we're working toward that as we go through this, the predatory lending guidelines here. States without action against predatory or payday interest rates. So there are certain states that have that don't cap that interest rate. Some states you'll see to go up to 100%. And I know I'm speaking to NABA in Houston, so Texas is definitely a state that does not cap interest rates on payday loans. You have states like Washington and other states like Maine who actually have taken some action to cap those interest rates. States where interest rate have been capped at 36% or payday lending has been banned includes Georgia and other states of that nature. So you see a lot of the payday lending has been capped. When you look up north, they have some payday lending caps there. So one thing about it is that if you have a local YWCA, we actually fight against payday lenders and predatory lending through the YWCA, and we actually are working on legislation for the state of Alabama as well. All right, NABA, let's stay in touch. I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation on payday lending. The thing here, you guys, make sure that we understand the rules of the game, so that way we know what we're playing and getting ourselves into. It's very important always to understand your loan documents, understand what you're getting yourself into, and understand that even if you have to take a high interest rate today, know that tomorrow your whole credit situation could be different by just paying on-time payments and understanding the rules of the game. Never let anyone put you in a payday loan or a loan shark or a situation where it's a predatory lending situation when you can fix your credit. There's great resources out there. Contact your local NABA and they will be able to help you, guide you to someone that could help you fix those situations. Let's stay in touch. You see me there on my ways of getting in contact with me. I would love to speak with you. Thank you so much, Katrina, for having me today, and Cecil. And let me know if there's any questions. All right, so Kiana Moore says, what are your thoughts on collateral lending, i.e. home vehicle? I know it's not a suggestion, but if we must do it, what is the best way to go about it? Awesome question, Kenyatta. I hope I'm saying that right. What I would definitely tell you that if you can get a home equity loan, rates are so low right now. I would definitely, okay, I'm sorry, it's asking if I want to do this live. Okay, rates are so low right now. I would definitely suggest doing a home equity loan versus a vehicle loan, because a vehicle loan usually gets into those title pawn type loans. So if you go to your credit union and then you're putting on a depreciating asset such as a car, you're putting a loan on it, you'll be upside down in that car and it'll be really hard to trade it in. And plus you're not going to get a lot of value, and car rates are going to be way higher than a home equity line of credit. Your home equity line of credit is going to help you secure funds to do whatever you need to do. And the good thing about a home equity line, it's going to allow you to only pay what you borrow. So for instance, if you have $50,000 in equity and you're able to get a loan for $50,000 or $40,000 or whatever that bank's lending limits are, the good thing about that is if you can have that $50,000 in your account for 5 years as a line of credit, but you're only going to pay interest only on whatever you borrow until you pay it back down. I suggest paying it down once a year. So for instance, if you needed to borrow $20,000 off of that, or even $1,000 off of that to take care of some business, you take your $1,000, you're going to pay interest only on that $1,000 until you could pay it back. But I suggest paying it back, let it revolve once a year. It's kind of like a big credit card. Any other questions?
Okay, I do have a question over here.
Okay.
They're asking, what are the consequences that I as a borrower can face if I get a mortgage with a predatory lender?
Well, one thing that you can definitely face is getting a mortgage with a predatory lender is foreclosure. So a lot of people are getting what they call these days called hard money loans. Hard money loans are loans from a lender who charges a higher interest rate. It's a short-term loan, 5 years. You have 5 years to refinance that loan. And in that 5 years, what they're going to want you to do is either find another lender or pay it off. Well, what's happening is a lot of people can't refinance within that 5 years, and they're stuck in this really bad situation. Some of those loans can go up to 100% because there's no cap. And so what ends up happening is you can be at risk of losing your home or paying a really, really high payment you cannot afford. So if you're going to buy a home, I suggest find a lender that does FHA. If you have a lower credit score or less down payment, FHA can help you. They go down to 580 in some cases, and the interest rate is only around 3.5% right now. FHA will put you on a 30-year fixed loan, and it can really, really help you.
All right, I have another question.
Okay.
Is there anything in the fine print of loans paperwork I should pay attention to or look for when dealing with predatory lenders?
Yes. So one thing I would definitely say is how the repayment structure is in that amortization schedule. Make sure when you're looking at that, because I just had a personal friend who borrowed $10,000 from a company. She's been paying $400 a month to pay this loan back, and she just noticed that she has 3 more years of $400. When she's done, it'll be $21,000, and she only borrowed $10,000. Now, what she can do is start chunking money toward that principal to bring it down so she can pay it down a lot faster and pay it off. But in that fine print, it's going to tell you the amortization schedule. If for those who don't know what an amortization schedule is, the amortization schedule is going to be the schedule of payments. It's going to be how they break down the payments, what's going toward interest, what's going toward principal, and what's going toward in the time it's going to take for you to pay it off, whether it's 60 months, 120 months, or 360 months, whatever that number is going to tell you that. Look for that amortization schedule, and also look for how the interest is being calculated. Because some people have daily interest calculations and some people have a monthly interest rate. So you want to make sure you're looking at your APR and you're looking at the actual interest rate. I hope that helped.
Okay. I do have another one. Can you go over some of the warning signs of predatory lending?
Sure. One, the interest rate is going to be the first one. Interest rate is going to be the first one, but also look at how they plan to bill you. So for instance, and I say bill you, when I say that, I mean how they plan to recoup their funds. One thing about predatory lending, if it's going to be every other week, then you're probably looking at a predatory lender. If it's going to be a higher interest rate, you're probably looking at a predatory lender. And make sure you go back to the slide where I put on there how you the normal interest rates versus a predatory interest rate. Make sure you're looking at that. We want to make sure you understand those parameters there. Also, when you're looking at depends on what they're securing it with also. So look at your terms, look at your interest rate, and look at what they're securing your loan with, and that will help you understand predatory lending a little bit better if you're dealing with one.
Thank you. Here's another question.
Okay.
What are your tips for handling high credit balances?
Pay them off. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
If it was only that simple in real life, right? So I have on my website, bankerbay.com, there is what we call a debt snowball. On that debt snowball, you start at the beginning. I would tell you to start, and also this is in my book, 52 Weeks to Fall in Love with Your Money. Shameless plug, but go to Amazon and check me out. When you have high balances like that, break it down. I always say break it down. How do you eat an elephant? Anybody know how to eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So break it down, and what you would do is put your debt in order. I want you guys to put them in order and then say, okay, this is my smallest balance. Let's start there. This is my highest balance, should be at the end. And so you're going to put them in order from smallest to largest, and then you're going to start eating that elephant. So every month, so for instance, the first balance is $100. You're going to pay that, and when you pay that $100 down, you're going to go to the next bill, but you're also going to put whatever you had that you were paying on that first one, you're going to chunk it over to the second one plus that payment, and watch how fast you actually pay down those balances. Make a plan. It's just like anything else. Make a plan and do it right, and you'll see how that goes down really fast.
Okay, I have one more question here.
Okay.
Let me make sure I understand it. Here we go. If I have already obtained a predatory loan, a loan from a predatory company, what is the quickest way to get out?
I would say it depends on the amount, right? There's two ways of getting out of this. If you have another way of going to your local credit union or bank, I would go there and see if I can get a loan. If not, the best thing to do is to attack the principal. You are going to have to make sacrifices. You may not be able to get your hair done this month, or your nails, or go out, or do a lot of things. You may have to eat beanies and weenies, but you'll pay that off, and you'll feel so much better about yourself, and you'll be able to kind of have some relief, right? Because debt is like stress. Debt is stress. And so when you have this type of stress on you, the best thing you could do is to alleviate the stress by making sure that you don't have the debt on you anymore. So what I would definitely suggest they do first is go and see if they could get a loan from a credit union. A credit union is usually a little bit better, or a bank, or community bank. We have Courtney here, her bank. I would definitely check them out. Go there, see if you could get a loan first. And then if you can't, start attacking that, because getting a loan and paying it off with something else would be awesome. So that way you don't have to worry about it at all. And then you can attack it at a lower interest rate at another institution. If you have a way of paying it off, pay it off, and then attack it with a lower interest rate at another institution. That's what we kind of call the balance transfers and things like that as well. Any other questions? So somebody had another question. Let me see what this question said. Okay. You want me to read it, Katrina? It says, I'm looking to purchase a home in the near future, but currently have an immediate financial need. How do I secure funds without jeopardizing my homeowner's goal? Well, one thing that I would tell you guys that I would say to do is that if you are trying to buy a home and you have other financial needs, you need to make sure that you take care of that first. Why? Because DTI is a very important thing when buying a home. Your DTI can establish how much of a home you could buy. Your DTI can also affect the actual payment that you can make per month. Also, you don't want to get in a home that you don't want because you just had this other financial need that you need to take care of first. So what you can do, find a loan, pay it on time, and then you'll see as that balance goes down, your credit score probably would go up, and it'll make you more eligible, if that's how you say that. It'll make you eligible for that loan that you're trying to get to buy a home. It also depends on how much money you actually make, right? And so if you make enough money and this new loan does not affect your DTI, you may can do both. So it just depends on the situation. What I would suggest you do is get with a really, really good mortgage officer. Get with someone who understands you, and that's why bankers of all shades and colors and everything are important, because when we have situations, we need someone like your homegirl. And I know people joke about this in NABA, and we've joked about it in NABA Houston, that I'm not the typical accountant. And I love that, because I love the fact that people can come to me, feel comfortable with asking questions, and I want them to ask those questions. And so with that, I would definitely say get with your banker and tell them your goals. Get with a bank. You can understand to have a great banker. Tell them your goal, your 5-year financial goals. And one thing, let me say this, and I'm going to fuss here for a second, because I think I'm probably the oldest person in the room. I'm going to fuss at you guys and let you guys know, if you get clients that want to write everything off on their taxes, ask them their 5-year financial goals, because that'll come back and bite them in the booty. All right, what's the next question? What are your thoughts on 0% introductory credit cards to pay down debt with interest accruing? I think it's awesome if you can pay it off. Why is still the 0% introductory rate? Usually those cards, it kind of shifts after the rate. So if you have a strong strategic plan and you got 0% interest and you can do that balance transfer over, note after that 0 rate though, this is where the fine print and the predatory lending comes into place. Note that after that 0%, 6 months, 7 months, whatever it is, make sure, please make sure that you can afford that interest rate that's going to charge you after that. But put your plan together. Just like the Bible says, write it down, make it plain. Let's say, hey, you know what? I'm going to switch this over to 0. It's a $2,000 balance, but it's a 4-month 0% introductory rate. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that $2,000, I'm going to divide it by 4 months, and I'm going to hit it hard. And if you can do that, you're going to save yourself a lot of money and a lot of stress, and you're going to be on your way to financial freedom. What are my rights if I'm currently in a predatory loan? Your rights right now would be, you can actually contact your local state financial institution and financial regulators and let them know you're in a predatory loan. One famous predatory loan a lot of people don't know about was even our president at one point was in a predatory loan. He got them to forgive $22 million a loan in Chicago and took the bank under, because he was able to prove that it was predatory. So if you really feel like you're in a predatory loan, you need to report it. We have reporting agencies that you can report those loans to if you feel like you were treated unfairly or unjust when signing those loan papers. So I would definitely recommend doing that and trying that. What do you look for when acquiring credit? Interest rates, terms, etc. Okay, I like to make this joke all the time. I always know when someone knows nothing about credit because they talk to me about payment. Aha. So if you come in and say, I just need a $500 payment, that means you know nothing about credit. And so we know exactly how to maneuver that and get to where we want to be. So when I acquire credit, or if I tell people to acquire credit, I would definitely look at both the interest rate and the terms. Sometimes, especially like when buying a home, if you could afford a 15-year term, of course your interest rate's going to be lower, but that payment's going to be a little bit higher. But you will earn equity faster, you'll pay it off faster, and you're well on your way. If you cannot feel like you can afford that, you're going to get the 30-year. Always look at the interest rate, because you know what you could do? Pay it down faster. Take that tax return or tax refund, not return. Take your tax refund, pay towards your principal every year. If you could, every quarter, make an extra payment. If also what you could do, if you every quarter make an extra payment. Also, what you could do, pay a month and a half. You know, if you're gonna pay your payment, make a half payment. It'll cut your payment down, actually, or your loan terms down from 30 years to 13 years in most cases, if you did it that way. If you had a 30-year loan and you need to bring it back down, and you can pay it off sooner. So there's always ways to manipulate the terms if you're looking to manipulate the terms, but terms and interest rate kind of go hand in hand. They're kind of like buddies. So lower rates, shorter terms, longer terms, a little bit of a higher rate. It all kind of goes together. I hope that helped.
All right. April, thank you so much. The information you provided was so insightful and very helpful. So we really appreciate it. I'm looking at both the chat and online. I'm not seeing any more questions. April, would there be no more questions? We'd like to thank you for participating in today's webinar. We'd like to thank all of you who are streaming live and who are in the Zoom room for participating as well. And we'd like to take the time again to thank our sponsor, Veritex Community Bank, for their support in our Bridging the Gap Financial Literacy Program, as well as our community partner, NABA. If you'd like to have more information about April and her services, you can contact her on her Instagram page, I am Banker Babe, as well as her website. If you could say it again for me, April.
My website is bankerbabe.com.
Thank you. And if also visit us on our Facebook page, and you can also reach out to our office if you'd like more information. So we here at Emancipation Park Conservancy, we hope that you are able to walk away more enlightened with new information. You're more empowered by the tips and tricks and techniques that April shared in the presentation. We hope that you have learned a lot on how to protect yourself against predatory lending practices and what to do following being a victim of predatory lending. So once our webinar has concluded, please be sure to complete the survey, and I did include the link at the top, and we are including it also in our chat on Facebook. So please complete, and within our chat here, please be sure to complete that survey, and it would also pop up automatically after this webinar. The links the survey helps us to make sure that we are providing you with the information that is relevant to you, that's most helpful to you, and that you can gain from it. To learn more about our Bridging the Gap Financial Literacy Program and our other upcoming programs and events, be sure to visit our website at www.epconservancy.org and follow us on our various social media platforms, and like, subscribe, and share with your network. If you enjoyed this virtual program event, please feel free to make a financial contribution by texting 1872 to 243-725. Your support is greatly appreciated. Again, thank you for attending our webinar today. My name is Patrina Johnson, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event.